Good day, folks. My name is Noble, and we'll be discussing today about the platform business model. Some of the outlines that we'll be going through today will be an overview of a platform business model, the differences between the platform and the regular traditional business models, the pillars of a platform strategy, success measures, which are the KPIs of measuring a platform business model, and using our BMP as an illustration on what we want to do and how we want to implement it using a platform business model. So let's dive in. So, a quick overview. The platform business model is basically about bringing together two sections, the producers, the consumers, to come together and interact or carry out transactions. Now, basically, the platform business has become like a staple of networks and marketplaces around the world. It's just a type of business based on the idea of providing an infrastructure of bringing two or more parties together and supporting their transactions. So, but there are some vivid definitions about the platform business model, so which I would define as a business model that creates value by facilitating exchanges between two or more independent groups and supporting their transactions. These interactions are initiated by the exchange of information between these two participants, you get, and then what follows then after this exchange of information? You now have exchange of money or goods and services. So this is basically what the platform business model is all about. Okay, but before we dive into that, we also need to understand what the difference is, what differentiates the platform business model from the regular business model which we've always known about, which some people also call the pipeline business model. So the first thing I would just say to analyze this is, for the traditional business model, there is no direct contact between the suppliers and customers of the firm. Let's take, for instance, we all go to Jevnik to eat. Now, there is no direct relationship or contact between you that goes there to eat and the supplier of the vegetable, the yam, the meat. Unlike the platform business model where you have a direct contact between the clients and the providers with the firm. So I will also use an analogy of the food like I did for Jevnik. Some of us visit ShopRite. You've also seen the food court at ShopRite. Now there is a direct link between you that comes to the food court to eat and the various vendors that are selling there at the food court. So what has happened there? The food court acts as a platform between you and the various vendors that are selling at the food court. Another difference is, for the traditional business models, all the high value activities are carried out by the firm. For instance, Dangote Cement, all his activities are carried out in the company. The product, everything he does are carried out by him to be able to meet up with his value chain. But that is not the same for the platform business. The platform business sets up an infrastructure and rules that clients provide most of the activities. For example, Uber. Uber offers a platform, but most of the high value activities are not carried out by Uber itself. They are carried out by the rider, the drivers, and those who seek to be driven. So these are the major activities on Uber. The same applies to Airbnb. It just creates a platform whereby most of the major activities are being carried out by those who are seeking an accommodation and those who are providing an accommodation. So all it does, it creates a governance for these things to happen. Another difference is, for the traditional business model, most of them deal with maximization of customer lifetime. So they look at the value they expend on a particular customer, and they look at basically on how they can get more customers and do a summation of the total number of customers they get. But the disadvantage of this most times is that it overlooks the gain from synergy and the benefits of complementary written in the network of all the platforms put together. But the platform business model focuses more on maximizing the ecosystem, the value of the ecosystem. Now it focuses on the exponential added value of all its customers within the network, because the main key thing of a platform business is the network effect. So this is what the platform business model really showcases and offers. So having gone through the differences between these two, we'll probably look at what are the fulcrum, what are the pillars of a platform business model, the strategy implemented. There are basically four, and I'll run through them. One is audience building, second is matchmaking, a third one is tools and techniques, and the fourth one are the rules and the regulations. What do I mean by audience building? A platform works and functions based on the people involved in it. You definitely need to orchestrate your resources, which are the people you're going to get. Uber cannot function without those who need rides and those who want to offer their vehicles. So these are your resources for this to work. And then what do I mean by matchmaking? If there is no proper matchmaking in alignment with who wants the vehicle and who has a vehicle, the system will not work. The more frequent the success of this is based on the frequency of the matchmaking. Tools and techniques, it talks about what tools and techniques are you going to use to ensure that the matchmaking goes on. That is why you have apps, the Uber app. That's on Airbnb, you have the website. So it is driven by technology. These are the things that facilitate the matchmaking on the platform. And then how will this work? If there are no rules, it becomes lawless, it becomes ungovernable, and things will not work the right way. So that's why there are rules and regulations in place. There is absolute governance in place to ensure that a platform business model works efficiently and effectively. That's why in Uber, if the rating system is there in place to ensure that the drivers are actually doing the right thing, actually it's the same thing in Airbnb. So part of these rules and regulations, part of the governance systems are the feedbacks. Like GAM would say, feedback is the food of champions, the breakfast for champions. So if there is no feedback mechanism on a platform business model, it will not work. Another example is the Amazon. Amazon uses a feedback mechanism to filter out the wrong vendors. It is the comments and the feedbacks you leave on Amazon that determines whether Amazon will continue with a vendor that it's been using or not. So these are the pillars that ensure that a platform business model works effectively. How is it going to be measured? How do you measure the success of a platform business model? Unlike the traditional businesses, this one uses a different method in which you're going to use. Like a community, like I would say, the community is at the heart of the platform and all sides of the equation. So stimulating it definitely would contribute to a larger network, hence providing more data, and this will improve the matches and broaden the community. And this is a positive cycle which we all know as network effect. And the goal of any platform is to create a strong network effect. So the KPIs in which you use in measuring this is completely different from that of a traditional business. So now what are some of them? The engagement rates, the quality of the matches, the transaction speed, the interaction failures, and like I said earlier on, the feedback loop, which is very critical, very essential in measuring this, as using this as an indices. So having explained all that about the platform, how do we now bring it into S&E? How do we use it in S&E? So I use the BMP as an illustration for the platform model. So now this is the BMP. Who are the two major party players? You have the consumers and the producers. Like I said earlier on, the producers, these are the mentors, the coaches we have on the platform. And who are the consumers, the mentees, who are also known as our alumni. These guys come together, they provide business coaching, and these guys receive business coaching. These are the major transactions that happen between these two parties. But in addition to this, what are the things that can drive them? There is an information and a value exchange. There is information passing on between the mentors, the mentees, and there is an exchange of value in return. What are there? We put rules and regulations. That's why we have our guides, mentorship guides. We have guides where the mentees will go through to ensure that it is not abused. We also have the tools of exchange. We have the BMP website that we have just created. The BMP mentorship program is going to mainly happen on the website platform, websites as a tool. So these are major things, and one of the things that will help us to manage this effectively is the feedback we get from the mentees about the mentors. We would have a rating system in place. So these are some of the things that we would use to run the BMP. Now, this is not just streamlined just to BMP, it cuts across any other kind of section we will be using, but I just used the BMP as an illustration because this is the one currently about to kickstart. So it's just for us to have an understanding how we intend to use it. That's why I used it. So it's just basically bringing these two sections together and creating this interface where they can exchange value and information. Now, having this, are these two the only people that are going to benefit from this whole system? No, that's why we have the S&E ecosystem, where we now have an idea of other stakeholders involved in the whole system, the whole platform system. Because basically, you can have a platform embedded on a business model canvas, you can have it embedded on a stakeholder map, so value position map. So it's not a standalone. It works effectively when integrated on other interfaces. So this is just a holistic view of the ecosystem of S&E. Now, we still have our producers and our consumers, which are the customers, the alumni. You have the producers as the various mentors that will be carrying out the various business sector groups when we eventually implement them. And some of the platform elements that we have, key platform elements, are like the BAS, the BMP, the BSG, the BCG, eventually when they have, and most of them will single-handedly run on the platform model, the same way I explained for the BMP. So you still have, who are the platform owners? It's still S&E, because we are the ones that are creating the platform for these components to run on. And the other partners we have are the DBF as a whole and Daystar, because they all have various interests. That is what stakeholders are all about. Anybody has any way of being impacted by a particular project being done. So this thing is being carried out. Daystar is a major stakeholder. They are partners on this, because as people come for these programs and they are interacting on the platform, it's an avenue for them to interface indirectly or directly with Daystar as a body. This thing can also lead to conversion rate into membership of Daystar. That is why Daystar benefits from it. DBF, how would it benefit from it? It is also something, an integral part of DBF, because we are under that same umbrella, and whatever goes on in it, it is being impacted. This DBF as a body is being affected on whatever happens. So, ladies and gentlemen, with this little explanation, I hope I've been able to explain what this is all about, because on later notes we would maybe elaborate some more on it. Thank you very much, and then further questions could be taken on the WhatsApp platform. Thank you.